Happening now, 2 people were arrested and facing charges following a drug raid in Jamestown. Latest efforts by the police to crack down on illicit substances. And a bill to help close the gap on New York's mental health system is gaining attention. Plus, with spring weather on the horizon, we're hearing from a motorcycle enthusiast in Chautauqua County highlighting some safety tips.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Our latest local news coming up, but first, let's get a check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us today. And depending on how early you got up this morning, Dakota, you might have had to scrape a little bit of ice off your car.
Oh, yes. And, as we told you yesterday, this was likely going to be the case for the morning commute today. You are likely going to deal with a little bit of ice. This is what I dealt with in my driveway this morning on my car. And you can see here, this is about 3/100 of an inch worth of ice. So understand, this isn't enough to cause any major issues, but it was enough to cause maybe some light slick spots, especially on the untreated surfaces. You can see that pink line that has moved on through. So that was that sleet and freezing rain that also came through along with some of the light snow showers. A lot of it has now pushed off to the east, but we are going to see at least a little bit more rain as we go through the later part of the afternoon. Winter weather advisory stays in place until the top of the hour for the potential for that freezing rain, and we also have a wind advisory in place until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. The strongest wind gusts will be overnight tonight. We're talking gusts around 50 miles an hour. So 49 to 56, these are late day highs. This is going to be very late in the day. Scattered wintry mix, then we may see some limited sunshine with gusts around 40 miles an hour. Now it turns more windy tonight, then chance for a few thunderstorms tomorrow, then back to winter. We'll talk about it in detail on that Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-day later in the show, Justin.
Riding the Western New York roller coaster, Dakota. See you back in a bit. A 23-year-old is in police custody following an overnight vehicle pursuit here in Jamestown. Jamestown police officers report to us they attempted to stop a vehicle at the intersection of North Main and Buffalo Streets around 2 in the morning. The vehicle, police say, refused to pull over and led officers on a pursuit into the city's north side before that chase came to an end at a West 11th Street address. James Muchner was identified as the driver. Police said he refused to exit the vehicle when called on by officers. He was eventually arrested and charged with crimes related to the chase and on an outstanding warrant from the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office. 2 people were arrested following a drug raid in Jamestown on Tuesday. City of Jamestown Police's Metro Drug Task Force executed a search warrant at 810 Washington Street just after 6 in the morning. Following a search, detectives allegedly recovered crack cocaine, methamphetamine, mushrooms, scales, packaging materials, and $2,600 in cash. Now, these two, Bart Barlett and Brittany Whitehill, have since been charged with several crimes related to that drug seizure. While inside of the city's jail, officers say Barlett attempted to conceal and dispose of 3.4 grams of crack cocaine hidden in his possession. He now faces additional charges in connection with that find. Anyone with information about the illegal drug or criminal activity is asked to contact Jamestown Police's tip line. That number is 716-483-8477. And as spring inches closer, many motorists are looking to get back on the road with their motorcycles. Our Julia Grass is hearing from the director of the American Legion Riders of Western New York, who's sharing tips with us to keep everyone safe on the road this time of year.
The NTSB reported last year there were 8.5 million motorcycles on the road. Anybody who sees the gasoline prices right now know that they're rising. Motorcycle sales are up. That's going to mean a lot more novice riders.
Legion Riders Director David Anthony emphasizes the importance for riders to make sure they are seen by wearing reflective clothing and by staying out of other drivers' blind spots. He also says to follow the flow of traffic and adhere to traffic laws and speed limits.
When they're driving automobiles, don't rely just on your mirrors and the cameras. Check your blind spots, physically look and see. Motorcycles so easily can be lost in a blind spot. and it happens faster than you know it can.
He also urges drivers to remove all distractions while driving, including cell phones and pets. Road conditions should be examined before riding, as well as paying attention to potholes and other dangers. Novice motorcyclists should also ride with more experienced drivers until they are confident in their ability.
For homeowners, the biggest thing I always say is we're going to be cutting mowing the grass soon. Cut grass clippings facing away from the road. How much debris that gets on the road is really hard for any kind of driver.
The group has a full slate of events this year, including a ride to honor Vietnam veterans.
This year, the Living Wall, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, is going to be over in Erie. We are going to provide escort duty the day of the 28th, I believe it is, from Chautauqua Mall over to the mall for veterans as well.
The Wall That Heals exhibit features a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. It includes a mobile education center, which features a timeline of the war and the wall, a display of items representative of those left at the wall, along with digital screens with photos and information on local heroes. The group will escort a shuttle bus to the exhibit, a task they say is an honor. Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. Around the state now, with the state experiencing a worsening crisis of untreated serious mental illness. New York State Senator George Borrello now pushing legislation that he says will close the gap in the state's mental health system. Borrello is working with Senator Dianne Savino to strengthen Kendra's law by allowing longer hospital stays for people who fail to follow up in their court-mandated assisted outpatient treatment. He says current law allows for an involuntary 72-hour hospitalization, a time frame that's often inadequate to stabilize the patients. In these instances, Borrello's bill would allow mental health professionals to request longer hospital stays. Another major component of the legislation would broaden the standard for involuntary hospitalizations if someone's mental illness renders them unable to meet their own basic needs, such as getting food, shelter, clothing, and health care. This is a standard recognized by most states. Now, Kendra's law is named in honor of Kendra Webdale of Fredonia, who was tragically killed by a man with a long history of schizophrenia in a subway shoving incident in New York City that happened back in 1999. She was a friend and schoolmate of Senator Borrello during their times at Fredonia High School. As WNY News Now continues, the latest in the legal dispute now settled between the Seneca Nation in Cattaraugus County and the state of New York. And later, we check in with our correspondent in Poland as she continues to share stories of the Ukraine-Russian conflict and their connection to our community. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
Celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer with a day of fun activities for children in the Jamestown area, hosted by Collaborative Children's Solutions and the City of Jamestown. The first part of the day happens at Northwest Arena, where both kids and parents alike can learn about activities available to youth. Later in the evening, finish out the night at the Tarp Skunk baseball game, along with a fireworks show at Russell Dietrich Jr. Park. Stop on down on Friday, June 24th, as we celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer.
Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Brought to you by the Chautauqua Safety Village and the Jamestown Fire Department.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
The Seneca Nation of Indians Council has voted to pay over $500 million to New York State, resolving a legal dispute over their casino fund gaming compact. That's according to Governor Kathy Hochul, who says the new money will help pay for the Buffalo Bills Stadium. Governor Hochul says because the funds were generated in Western New York, she felt it was fair to direct the state's share, which is more than $418 million, to the new Buffalo Bills Stadium. The courts have consistently ruled in the state's favor, Hochul goes on to say, yet no payments were made. The money is covering the period from January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2021. Over the weekend, the Seneca Nation's bank accounts were frozen at the request of New York, who gave them until March 14th to make their payments to the state. Because the accounts were frozen, the Seneca Nation president said they could not conduct banking transactions. At the time, he called an overreach of New York State's power. And New York State's Department of Corrections and the Community Supervision will end parole supervision for 8,000 parolees at the end of this week. This is under a good faith measure of the Less is More legislation signed into law by Governor Hochul last fall to improve justice and safety in city jails. It also ensures that the Department of Corrections focuses its resources on helping people complete community supervision. The law credited a 30 for 30 provision in which released individuals can get 30 days taken off their parole sentence for every 30 days without a violation. However, the Department of Corrections says that it's an effort to expedite this provisional of the law. More than 5,400 parolees have been released so far, and an estimated 8,000 are expected to be released by March 31st. Well, the United States Labor Secretary cut the ribbon on the Yellow Corporation's first truck driving apprenticeship in Pennsylvania this week. Secretary Marty Walsh was joined by Governor Tom Wolf and leaders from the Yellow Corporation at their facility about 15 miles southwest of Harrisburg. Walsh says these programs are essential for industry safety and the nation's supply chain. Now, last December, the Biden administration announced a 90-day Trucking Apprentice Challenge, a partnership with the trucking associations nationwide to launch registered apprenticeships as a way to get more well-trained drivers on the road in good-paying jobs.
2 years ago right now, we were running to supermarkets, buying every bit of cleaning product we could possibly buy. You, the drivers in this room and the drivers across this country, are the people that help stock those shelves.
Now, the Driving Academy will offer apprentice drivers 4 weeks of classroom instruction and a behind-the-wheel training with an experienced driver, too. The academy is tuition-free, and students are paid to learn to get their commercial driver's license. And our coverage of the Ukrainian refugee crisis continues. Our team in Poland has met with people who opened their doors to refugees, temporarily housing after they fled from the war in Ukraine. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp reports from Warsaw, Poland.
They drove to the border to pick up the 3 girls from the border, and this is how it started.
Meet Ola. She's a former intern for the Erie-based company Logistics Plus. She lives an hour south of Krakow, Poland, with her husband and their 8-month-old baby. When the war in Ukraine began, many women and children who fled to nearby Poland didn't have contacts or a place to stay here. But that's when Ola tells us that Jim Berlin, the owner of Logistics Plus, called her and asked her for help. That's when Ola says she, her family, her parents, including her aunt, didn't hesitate.
There were 14 people, including children, that passed through our houses. We were able to relocate all the girls to the new apartments but 14 people, yes.
For their safety, we're blurring the Ukrainian refugees' faces. But Ola shared with us photos of how they prepared their rooms. After they stayed with her, she has since helped find housing for the refugees in cities near Krakow and Rzeszów, which is near the Ukraine border.
So the first group, 6 girls, were for a week and a half in our home, and then we were able to relocate them, and then another group arrived. Another 6 one, yeah. I have to give huge kudos to my mom and dad because they did all the work, basically, because they gave away their whole house. My house is tiny, so we only had 3 girls in my home, but the rest of the girls were at my mom and dad, so they took care of them. My aunt gave her apartment to the girls. She took her mom and her 5-year-old daughter, so we're trying to find a job for her right now.
Most of the refugees Ola took in are current Logistics Plus employees. Some fled with their moms, their babies, and even their pets. Logistics Plus has nearly 50 employees in Ukraine. Most of them are younger than 35 years old. Ola says the women that stayed with her and her family, they wanted to help those still in Ukraine by collecting humanitarian supplies for the soldiers and sending it back to their home country. We asked Ola what it means to her by helping these refugees.
I have to say it's a little bit selfish, but the worst thing is that you cannot do anything, that you just sit, there is a war, people are suffering, and you sit and you don't do nothing. So it makes us feel a little bit better that with this little thing that we did, just open our house, we were able to help the girls.
Turning strangers into family.
The most important thing to us was that when the girls said that you are our family right now, and this is your mom is our mom, your father is our father, and it will be for the lifetime. It's sad that we meet in such a bad circumstances, but it's amazing that we did, and we will cherish that forever.
In Warsaw, Poland, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. About half of the Logistics Plus employees are men who are still in Ukraine. We're told they're fighting the Russians or staying with family. Logistics Plus is also helping with donations for the humanitarian crisis there. Coming up, if you're looking for financial relief at the gas station or grocery store, we have some bad news to share today. And later, the efforts to honor a World War II veteran in our region. We share her story from 80 years ago. But first, when we return, a full look at our weather forecast. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you got to keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And once again, wanted to talk about precipitation types because we dealt with some of that freezing rain and some of that freezing sleet this morning. And again, what determines what we see down here is where that warm air happens to be in the atmosphere. If it's down low, it's going to fall as rain because it doesn't refreeze. If it's somewhere stuck in the middle, it'll ultimately unthaw, then freeze as it comes its way down. And then if it's all cold air, it'll fall as snow. So we mentioned it before, but it's nice to kind of remind you kind of what causes sleet and freezing rain. So we got a pair of 3s at the airport right now with a healthy south wind of 14. The wind gust is at 20, so at least we're a little bit above freezing now. So we should not see any more icing issues for the rest of today. Overnight tonight, there is a geometric or a geomagnetic storm watch in place. And this is something we don't talk about too often, but there is the potential we could see the northern lights across western New York tonight. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, we're likely not going to see it. Even though we have a G3 or a moderate storm strength is forecast, the problem is we're going to have a lot of cloud cover, and it's not just the cloud cover overhead, it's the cloud cover on the northern horizon. So the chances of seeing this across western New York tonight, it's possible, but I don't think the clouds are really going to help with this at all. So big severe weather day down across the deep south. We still have that moderate risk, a level 4 out of 5. That's the dark red area. Now the good news for us for tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has trimmed this marginal risk back. So it does include portions of Allegheny County, but it no longer includes any more or any other part of the southern tier. So the chance for any strong storms tomorrow really is very small. And you can see on future scan here, just lots of clouds around after those rain showers, and this is after midnight tonight. So again, the clouds not really helping us out to at least potentially see any of the northern lights, but if you do happen to see it, get a picture because it's amazing. And as we go into the overnight hours, or as we go into tomorrow, we will start to see the rain showers starting to return with a few thunder showers, and again, the chance for severe activity relatively low. And look at what comes here as we go into Friday. More snow. Yeah, I know. Snow returns as the colder air filters in. Now, this is storm potential coming off future scan. Not impressed with the overall atmospheric instability that we're going to have tomorrow. So the chance for thunderstorms really small, and severe is really small at that. So the next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solution. There it is for Friday, 36, windy and snowy, but at least we do have some sunshine to go through on Saturday and Sunday. Do think a little bit more in the way of cloud cover. Then it looks like by the time we go into next Tuesday, Justin, we're back to around average with a couple rain showers.
Ooh, the roller we literally, it's like we're just repeating ourselves. We're on loop, but I mean, it's just how it is.
It's a rinse and repeat forecast.
Welcome to Western New York spring. Dakota, thank you. Well, the Centers for Disease Control and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration have expanded the emergency use authorization for adults over 50 years old to get another COVID booster shot. Both agencies made that announcement yesterday for both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. A second booster can be given 4 months after the first. Now, a second booster shot was previously only allowed for people over the age of 12 who had a severe immune deficiency. The CDC says an additional booster is important for those 65 and up and those 50 and older with underlying medical conditions because they are at a higher risk for severe disease from COVID. Well, the National Football League made a rule change that greatly reduces the role of luck in winning a postseason overtime game. Under the new rule, when a game goes into overtime, both teams will be given a chance to score. The old rule stopped the game as soon as one team scored. That gave an unfair advantage to whoever won that overtime coin toss, as the opposing team would have no chance to win if the coin toss winning team scored on their first drive. That's what happened last season in a playoff game where the Kansas City Chiefs beat our Buffalo Bills in overtime, when the Bills were shut out before they had any opportunity to score. The NFL passed the new rule at its annual meeting in a 29-3 vote. It only impacts postseason games. Well, if you're wondering when gas and grocery prices will come down, the answer is probably not anytime soon. In fact, a new government forecast is showing you might have to pay even more for those commodities in the coming months. Amy Kiley is breaking down the numbers.
New federal forecasts show food prices will likely keep climbing. The average cost of gas will stay high or may even rise. The USDA now predicts grocery prices will increase up to 4% throughout this year, and the average cost of dining out could set a new record. That's partly because Ukraine and Russia usually export a lot of the world's wheat and corn.
It will have global context impact beyond anything we've seen since World War II.
And China's new COVID-19 lockdowns are making it hard for supply chains to recover from the pandemic. Oil prices dipped a bit this week. That's after Russia said it would ease up its assault on parts of Ukraine. But
I think we should be clear-eyed about the reality of what's happening on the ground, and no one should be fooled by Russia's announcements.
It's called rockets and feathers, meaning when the price goes up of the price per barrel, that means your gas station price goes up like a rocket. When the price comes down per barrel, the gas station price comes down like a feather.
Prices from the last month demonstrate what she's saying. Here they are for oil and gas. And here's a forecast into next year. U.S. oil producers aren't increasing drilling much to help. CEOs say investor pressure is restraining growth, according to a Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas survey.
Because of gas, we are, as of right now, no, we are definitely not taking our family vacation this year. It'll be more or less a trip to the lake.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Visit the Northwest Arena on Friday, June 24th, as we celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer. Learn about activities available to youth in the Jamestown area, plus end the night with fireworks at the Tarp Skunks game. Learn more online at ccsolutions716.com.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm and real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Nearly 80 years after her service, a local World War II veteran is now being honored. Florence Crawford served as a member of the Lipstick Brigade from 1944 until 1946. The group was made of female typists and decoders who helped the Allies defeat Hitler. Erie News Now's Kristen Allen shares her story.
She was something else. She was just a great lady.
Flo Crawford brought a smile or a laugh to nearly everyone she met in her 97 years.
I think one of the things that we miss the most is all the laughter and her precious giggle.
But one thing a lot of people didn't know about Flo right away was her military service.
She wouldn't talk about it too much, what she did. In fact, when you kind of dig into her a little bit, she says, well, what I did was not to be known by anyone.
Flo was a member of a group of women later termed the Lipstick Brigade.
She said, you know, you didn't talk about those things, you might come up missing. So she says, even my husband didn't know what I did.
The Lipstick Brigade intercepted and deciphered thousands of messages from Japanese fleets. That's how the United States kept tabs on Japan during World War II.
This allowed us to step outside of our normal daily routine and come to meet a family whose sister provided a valuable asset during World War II with deciphering enemy communications.
Local veterans and the Embracing Our Veterans organization presented Flo's brother and sister-in-law with this commemorative plaque, honoring the service and classified work she kept secret her entire life. Even though her seat set's empty now at her brother's house, her spirit of love and laughter is still around.
Up until even a week before she passed, she was still smiling.
Kristen Allen, Erie News Now.
Kristen, thanks so much for sharing that story. And Dakota, you know I got a soft spot for vets, and especially World War II vets, who there aren't that many of them around anymore, including our late friend Flo there. So really amazing to see her honored and to kind of have that story continue where you have this history. And she, didn't talk about it for 80 years, wouldn't talk about it because she was sworn to secrecy. Wow, that's incredible.
Well, I mean, you know, I've talked about it on the show before. I mean, you know, my dad's father served in World War II. And I mean, you know, I kind of wish he didn't die before I came around. But unfortunately, my dad said he really didn't like to talk about the war. So.
Right. And there's so much of that greatest generation that I wish we could hold on to. Well, that's going to do it for us today. We'll leave you with this live look over downtown Jamestown. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow.